serious discussion now about some of the things outlined this morning. And Commissioner Dalli, as you're with us, I'd very much like to take this opportunity to ask you what you make of the innovations outlined this morning.
Well, again, I think that change is really in the air, I believe. Change has become the key word now of all the different actions, of all the thinking around Europe, and that's not just in this area. We're changing social system, we're changing financial systems, and I believe that we are coming to grips with the realization that we have to be sustainable. All our actions have to be initiated from a concept of sustainability. And what I have been hearing today is music to my ears, to tell you the truth.
We've heard a lot today about mistrust and the negative association that people have with the industry. Do you think this will really mean change?
Yes, that's for me really a key issue, and for us it's a very important change of mindset. We really need to regain this trust. We really need to close the gap between, the industry and the general public. It's very clear a big challenge. It's a long journey, but I'm very confident that if we change our behavior, if we are more open, if we listen more and better, if we show, to the society that we are really taking the right decisions, that we are on the good track, that we can measure, the improvements, that's very important too, to have, share KPIs, then I'm absolutely sure that, the situation will improve and that our image, will be perceived more positively in the future. For me, it's mainly, again, about not only our behavior, but also the way we act. And, the people, the society, the consumer will judge us on, our actions. And this project is our project. It's a project of the plant protection company. We designed this project, with, the managers of the European plant protection companies. And of course, the design phase is over, so now what is really crucial is to make it happen. And that's why, as John presented a couple of minutes ago, we have changed the organization. We have now dedicated teams, to address the concerns of the general public. Each team has a clear roadmap, a clear action plan, and it's our responsibility, and at the end of the day, it's a leadership issue, to make sure, that we disseminate, this new approach in our organization, and that we implement, the actions we have on our roadmaps. And I think, the best way, to show to the consumers, to the general publics, that we are walking the talk, is to meet again together next year and then to see, what has been achieved.
No doubt we are closely connected to farmers and growers, without any doubts, and that will continue because we are part of producing food and feed for the population. But even to say for the population, for the people, it is obvious that we have to look much, much deeper to the consumer, to other stakeholders, or just taking the water platform on my right side as well, to consider it seriously. And the difference between former times might be as well the part that we know it is fundamental for all parts, as the Commissioner said nicely, to get and to have and to create sustainability. We know the facts, we know what we have to do, so let's do it, let's start with it. And even when you talked a little bit before about mindset, will it happen? Even being aware today, just awareness is already a change and look in a new direction. and then let's walk, knowing very well it's not done today or tomorrow, it takes some time, but yes, we are oriented and go more to the consumer and to other opinions and values which are outside there.
In all, my suggestion and my advice is that in all your actions, please make sure that you communicate with the final consumer, that you take the consumer into consideration, that you are aware of what is happening in the market, what is happening in the retail stores. That's what interests you, not simply what is happening in the fields, because that is going to affect, finally, your success.
Well, I think the key word here is trust. And that is, I think, the problem what the industry has lost on the way. Yeah, the trust of the consumer, the trust of, let's say, the stakeholders and so on. And that is what I think through this initiative you can regain. The good thing is, I think the industry was in the past only protective, very protective. And the difference what I see now is that you get proactive. And that's one of the key things. We really have to work with the farmer. The farmer today, what I see, they are dizzy, you know. They get all the times new regulations, new things, new standards. They get paid for a different thing every, let's say, all the time. But we don't work with them. We don't show them. Yeah, what is the best practice, and how can he really gain an advantage from doing that in his let's say in his management? And I think they are very open. The new farming generation is very open to that, and there we have a huge chance, which, let's say, together we shouldn't miss.
The consumer today has more choice when it comes to their food than they've ever had before. But at the same time, the consumer has no control over where that food came from. And this then comes to risk perception and the consumer's feeling of being in control or not. And so the consumer, when they buy food, don't feel in control of where it came from. And I don't think it's for us to say the consumer should understand where the food came from better. It's our job as a food industry to provide the guarantees and the feeling of safety and confidence and to win the trust of the consumer. And the farmer, of course, is at the very centre of this. So I think this is why the initiative that we've described today is about reaching out to the other stakeholders in the food chain and becoming a legitimate partner at the table with these stakeholders so that we collectively can take on the responsibility and win the trust which has to be earned of the consumer.
This morning we heard about the fact that we're going to have 9 billion people on the planet by 2050, and yet we have to downsize our agricultural footprint. Ideally, how can we do that and be sustainable? Where does the industry fit in there?
I mean, it's a fairly straightforward equation. We need to produce more food from the same amount of area. I'm not sure about the downsizing, but certainly from the same amount of area. I think everybody agrees there isn't a land bank ready, willing and able to come into play, although there are some debates about parts of the African continent. But nonetheless, fundamentally, we have to produce more from the same or more from less resources. And there is only one answer to that, and that is innovation. And this is why it's so important that the legislative framework in Europe and, for that matter, in the world encourages responsible innovation. And that's, of course, one of the things that we in the European Crop Protection Association stand firmly behind. It's what we, as the member companies, can contribute through our research and development.
The good news of today is that we can be part of the solution. We have the facts, we have the figures, we have the knowledge. And I'm quite often saying, never ever in the lifetime of human beings we have had the chance to create a sustainable agriculture than it is today. Today we have, and thanks of this innovation, the knowledge and the possibility to create a sustainable agriculture. Let's do it. And let's do it even, what John nicely said, to bring innovation quicker down to the ground, to the field, down to the farmers and growers. And there definitely are, if you look, just it was mentioned a little bit from the Commission as well, the minor users part, how long we need there to get solution, knowing very well it's fundamental for our diet as well. And that is a part to bring down the knowledge immediately and the innovation to the ground.
I think that to take up the challenges ahead means, to produce more and to produce better with less. There is no one single solution. So we need innovation, of course, in the plant protection. We need innovation in the seed business, but we need innovation in agronomy too. Huh? So that's why it's so important. I think that's the heart of our, Hungry for Change project, to establish, connections, to establish bridges with all the stakeholders involved, in agriculture. Means, of course, farmers, but also scientists, but also NGOs, but also, the regulatory body.
Certainly we need innovation there, but we also, well, if you look how much, let's say, food is wasted from the farmer to the market, in the market, because of, in particular in developing countries, yeah, but also, well, we waste a lot of food because we throw a lot away, but in developing countries, a lot of food is wasted on the farm, yeah, because of bad management, because, let's say, of disease, illnesses, whatever. And then you lose a lot on the way to the market, and you lose a lot, let's say, on the market because of lack of storage. It goes up to 70–80% along the chain where we basically lose food. And that is where we need to improve. And then we are able to feed all these people. And then of course, we will not face this problem with the price, let's say, what you mentioned. There we need innovation. But honestly speaking, in Europe, we are too slow. We are too slow to bring in new technologies to the markets. We are too slow at the moment.
What's preventing it?
It's a lot of different factors. But it's, for example, also we are too bureaucratic. A lot of times, yeah? We are too slow to bring innovations really to the market and to the people who let's say, who would need it.
There is a very broad consensus that we need to be more sustainable, but there is a lot of different interpretations about what sustainability means. So that's why for me it's so crucial to have a common understanding about what sustainable development means, and for that we need tools which are able, to cover all the different elements of, sustainable development. Means shared KPIs and 360-degree tools which allow us, to compare and to assess, different production systems. And we as BASF, we are working very intensively in this direction, and I think that it's a critical step, to have a closer, relationship and a common understanding with the general public about that issue.
Why do we need pesticides, and how do you tell the public why they are important?
And that's a big question. And it's the how do you tell the public that they're important that is the big question, which was the point that was being raised here. And part of the answer comes from the comment that I made earlier on. In the time of my grandfather, 1 hectare fed 1 to 2 people. Today it's 4, and tomorrow it needs to be 5. And that's happening as a result of modern intensive agriculture, which can be sustainable. And it is very difficult to explain all of the different aspects of what comprises modern intensive agriculture. And this is why I don't think we would set out to do it on our own as an industry, but we need to do it collectively as a food industry, not as a crop protection industry. We need to be out there and we need to tell our story. And when we do tell the story of how food is produced, and the contribution that we make, and the huge efforts that are made by regulators, by scientists, by the companies who are involved in it, to ensure that the products are safe for their use, to ensure that the farmers understand how to use them, to ensure that they are not to the detriment of the environment, people start to understand. I mean, people will remain sceptical and challenging, and rightly so. But I think Friedhelm is right. If you don't get out there and start to tell your story, someone else will tell it for you. And fundamentally, I think it's important to keep looking at the bigger picture. And the challenge is, how do we produce more from less? And I think you have to take the question in that broader context of feeding the 7, 8, and eventually 9 billion people that will inhabit this planet.